children.
You want to keep an eye on who's writing the children's books. And, you know, you see a lot of celebrities writing children's books. I'm not going to name any names, but you can go and look around and find that, well, I name one. Madonna has written a number of children's books. There are others too. Like, it's out there pretty much that Madonna is a high priestess, and it's very clear if you watch any of her number of her performances at any of the big shows that she's doing ritualistic work. She's doing that, and she's writing children's books because they want to get to children, because children is the raw innocence. They're not so much interested in the later years because you've sort of already adapted your thought patterns and your thought prisons. You've already sort of dealt with that. You're already dealt with, so they're not interested. So they're always going after the children. They're increasingly sort of, the children's books are increasingly vile. And I'll bring up Roald Dahl, and I remember being read Roald Dahl when I was a kid, and Roald Dahl, I was always like fascinated by his stories, and they are quite brilliant, but they also are quite vile as well. And Roald Dahl was an MI6 agent and worked with
Ian Fleming?
with Crowley, Fleming, and Dahl, and Churchill actually all worked together. But I know, on this particular thing, Dahl was working with Fleming, and I think there is a Parkinson interview where I found a Parkinson interview where he openly said he was working for MI6 during the Second World War. That's the only time that it's out there. So he is an insider, so you know, throughout his books he will put truths, because that's what they tend to do. They always want to tell you what they're doing. They'll always tell you in one way or another what they're doing or how they're going to do it, because that's part of the contract as well. It's part of the thing. If they tell you what they're doing and you're not smart enough to pick it up, then they can get away with it karmically. It's sort of a loophole in the karmic law, that if they tell you, and you don't do anything about it, then more fool you.
Yes, this is a fundamental principle of what we're giving up, how we give our permissions away.
Absolutely.
The idea is to pull those permissions back.
Yes, yeah, and definitely Dahl is definitely an interesting one to look into. Do a whole talk on Roald Dahl, Ian Fleming, and Crowley just in and of itself. Anyway, so Fleming was also an MI6 insider, and so you have peppered throughout all the Bond movies, which were Broccoli, Albert, the Broccoli family funded. They're the money behind it. So nothing. I think his name's Albert. Nothing gets through at all unless he sees everything. He's like he sees the final cut of everything. So you know, the Broccoli family are a military intelligence family as well, connected through the Second World War. This is all Project Paperclip stuff, and Dahl is connected to Paperclip and connected to CIA as well. So anyway, going back to Dahl's books and going back to children's books and how significant they are. So if you're reading those stories to children, and they're layered with subconscious imagery, subconscious letters, then that's going to be embedded within the child, and then, you know, this particular consciousness that is doing this here is purely and simply a vampiric consciousness. It doesn't have a central core energy to feed itself. It has to take from others. It doesn't naturally understand what giving is. It has to take from other beings. That's how it works. So this false reality that's manifested and created here is done by embedding images and sounds and ideas into children's minds, and then you grow up having and thinking that, you know, also textbooks, you know, like we were saying with children's textbooks, you're given what the fundamental ideas of what we're told history is and how we're told the world is, and then that is then put to the conscious mind, and then so we believe it to be, so then we manifest a false reality. So we're living out a reality that really wouldn't be isn't our natural state at all. so that we're kept in a sort of a. Anytime a child reads something that is vile, it may want to come back and see it again, because children have that sort of that need, but or that desire to like look at something they're not supposed to. But it does give them like a traumatized reaction, and that traumatized reaction, that energy from that traumatized reaction, can then be harvested